afraid of the dark? Are you scared?
So let me tell you a story. This story is about a cave. Now inside this cave, there are people that are chained on the floor looking at a large blank wall. Behind them is a really, really high shelf and animals, trees, people are walking past the light and casting these shadows on the wall. However, because these people, all that they see every day from birth until death are these shadows. For them, the shadows are the world. Until one day, one of the cave dwellers manages to free himself from the chains, and he turns around to see the dazzling sunlight, to see the birds and the trees and the animals passing by, and he realizes that these are where the shadows are coming from. So rather than running away out of the cave, he goes back into the cave to his cave-dwelling comrades, and he tells them everything that he has seen. But they don't believe him. His comrades are still chained. His comrades can't turn around, and all they see is still these shadows on the wall. He tries to explain to them that everything that they're seeing on the wall, that is not real. It's just a representation of the trees and the animals and the things that are behind them. And of course they don't believe him, because they tell him all there is the wall and the shadows on it. I heard this story when I was maybe 8 years old, and let me tell you, as an 8-year-old, it blew my mind. I remember my dad saying to me, because I had no idea exactly what was going on, my dad said to me, "We are the cave dwellers, Jacqueline, and everything that we think is real could just possibly be a shadow." If you were to fast forward maybe 14 years later, I was on my very, very first paranormal investigation, like a real paranormal investigation. I had watched television, I had seen movies, I was pretty sure I knew how this kind of thing would go. You stood in a room, you asked, "Is there anybody here?" And then hopefully you'd get an answer. I walked out of that experience and my entire world had changed. Instead of me asking, "What is this? What is that? You know, what is a ghost? What is it made of?" I started asking, what if this? What if that? What is the first part of me that is going to rot when I die? If I think too hard, will I get a headache? Does grass scream when we stand on it, but because it's so small, it would scream so high-pitched that we just wouldn't hear it? What happens to all of those socks that I lose in the dryer? And finally, does pineapple actually belong on pizza? I dove into paranormal investigation head first and pretty much smacked myself silly. It kind of occurred to me that all of the questioning that we have about UFOs, about yowies, and even about ghosts and spirits could simply be us questioning the shadows on the wall. Then I kind of asked myself, what is it that I'm doing? Am I examining the signs of life? Am I examining the remnants of death? Or am I just trying to find out what's going to happen when I die? Paranormal investigation is regarded as a pseudoscience. You can't set up an experiment and have a 100% prediction of what is going to happen. You can't say, if I set up A and combine it with B, then C is going to happen. But for hundreds of years, people have been trying to explain the paranormal through scientific methodology. We're fighting a losing battle. We ask the same questions every time we go out on investigation. Hello, if there's anyone there, can you tell us your name? Can you make a noise for us? So these questions, even though they might be useful and kind of exciting at the time, aren't really helping us find out what it is that we're speaking to, whether or not we're just talking to ourselves in the dark, or whether or not we're conversing with travelers from another dimension that may have accidentally dropped into our timeline and they need our help getting back. Just a thought. The idea behind the shadows in the cave is what's referred to as Plato's theory of forms. The theory of forms alleges that non-physical forms and representations are just that, a representation of the true object. Plato even goes on to extend that to separate the idea of forms from substance. So rather than having just a physical human, what a physical human may be, we've got a physical human and the idea of a human. He believed that all forms were constant and unchanging. So we had a table. What do we define as a table? Is it something with 4 legs and a flat bit on top? Is it something that we eat off? Isn't a stool a table? You can eat off a stool. I don't know, something like that. The idea was that we may have millions and millions and millions of different types of tables in the world, but every single table would have just a little bit of tableness in it, which is what made the thing a table. Now the point behind this is to try and get the thinker to step back and analyze what it is that they are looking at from a somewhat objective point of view. If you believe in complete objectivity, which is not really a thing because we've got unconscious bias, subconscious beliefs, all sorts of ritual, of religious spirituality, and if we were to take the phenomena of an apparition, for instance, if we were to remove ourselves from questioning the thing that we just saw, as in, did that just happen? What did it do? What is it made of? Was it real? And started looking for similarities across sightings of phenomena, would we then start getting an idea of apparitionness? Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word. Maybe. Possibly. It's a word now, okay. Or will we find that it's simply a different manifestation of a human? These are the sorts of questions that I'm going to be talking about on this channel. Hopefully it won't give you too much of a headache. I can tell you it definitely keeps me up at night. But I kind of like mixing philosophy and paranormal theory because maybe we're just not asking the right questions yet.